Today it's Thursday, the 20th of June, and we'll be talking to two directors of two feature films. Thank you for following us, first of all. And we're going to start with the first director, Marie-Sophie Chambon, who is the director and co-screenwriter as well, we will explain that very soon, of the film 5 kilos d'étoiles, that's in French, and it's Stars by the Pound. And before we start the conversation, I would like to tell you that it will be screening today at 6:30. So if you're in Valletta or you have time, go and watch it at Spazio Creative. It's today at 6:30, and it's called Stars by the Pound. So, Marie-Sophie, how are you, first of all?
It was very good.
Very good. When did you arrive in Malta?
2 days ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you have time to go around Valletta to have a look?
Yeah, it's wonderful to just walk on the street, and I have the chance to swim in the water.
Fantastic.
So cool.
Yeah, that's very good. So you are the director of this film, but also part of the short film jury as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So you are also watching a lot of short films, and on Saturday you'll be assigning the best short film of this year.
I'm not alone, and with
Yes.
2 other directors.
Yes, that's right. And so we can start with that, perhaps, with your experience as a jury member. Is it your first time, or have you been in other juries?
No, this is not the first time. I did that maybe 3 years ago with teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
So I was president of the jury. It was
Okay.
cool.
Which festival was that?
Handicap Film Festival.
Mhm.
I don't remember the city, but it was in France.
In France. Fantastic. And how has your experience till now been? You've been watching films and discussing with the other two jury members?
Yeah, it's very cool because in France we saw a lot of shorts, but here I can see a lot of shorts from small countries that we can discover in France, like Estonia, like other small countries. So it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, that's
Discover the world with the shorts. So it's
yeah.
rich.
So there are 24 short films. 4 of them are Maltese, and you'll be assigning the Cinema of Small Nations Best Short Film Award. And you are still watching these films. You haven't watched them all, right? You are still watching the short films.
I watched the whole of the short movie today. Yeah.
Today?
Yesterday.
Fantastic. Do you already have a favorite?
Yes.
Okay.
But I don't discuss.
Of course not. No, we're not asking that.
Yet.
No, that's fine. We're not asking, but yeah, at least you have a favorite already. That's good. Okay. So let's discuss your film. So you are the director of Stars by the Pound.
Yeah.
Can you say something about it? So some people here might not have seen it. Maybe say something about the story of the film.
It's a story about Lois. She's 16 years old, and she dreams to go to space. She wants to be an astronaut, but there is a problem. She's too fat to do that, and in her family, that she cannot change that. So she will meet 3 other girls like her, and she will discover friendship, and she will realize just a little part of her dream.
Of herself.
Of her dream,
of her
herself
dream. Yes,
too.
yes, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, we have fantastic actors as well playing the 4 parts, and we see this girl who is dreaming of taking part in this competition, right? And she wants to win and become an astronaut, but because she decided to lose weight, and because she decided to lose weight, she doesn't eat, and she ends up in a hospital.
Yeah.
And this is where she meets these 3 other girls who each have their own sort of problems in their own way, and they all sort of find themselves, and they find a lot of things in common, I think, and they become friends through this trip that they end up making. I don't want to say too much about the film, but at the same time we want to discuss it and see, what it's about. And So, where did this story start from in your head?
I think in France or in the world, we don't see a lot of different women and women bodies, women, and there is they have to look like other women, and I want to tell a story about a girl who is not like the other girl, and she has difficult to live with that. But I wanted to tell there is a lot of beauties and a lot of ways to be beautiful.
Yeah.
To talk about how it's difficult to love her body your body when you're a woman, when you're not in the norm, in the normality.
And you decided to tell, because then they are sort of four outsiders at the same time. So you didn't tell the story about one, but also for people who are outside this norm.
Because it's difficult to look like the other, and it's not because you are fat that is complicated. Amélie, the other character, she has skin and she is anorexic, and it's also very, very complicated to accept her femininity and her body. So maybe it's because of your body, but for her it's because of her hair, her head problems.
Yeah, that's it. So the film, it comes out very clearly in the film that it doesn't matter what you perceive yourself. It's always something for you, but it's something different for the others, and they might feel in the same sort of situation, except for different reasons. One is because she's too thin, one is because she's too fat, one is in a wheelchair, and the other one has OCD as well. But they all have their own problems in their own way. And how did you decide then on the specific characters? How did they come about? So you, first of all, you co-wrote the screenplay.
Yeah. I began to write alone when I was in school in my last year. But when I found a producer, I don't want to write alone for the following. So
why is that? Why didn't you want to write alone?
Because it's very difficult, and it's long, and I think it's a friendship story, and I want it to be a comedy. So I think it's better to be to write a comedy.
Yeah. And then how did you find your co-writing partner then?
She was in school with me.
And you decided that you both wanted to write about the subject. Did you agree on that? Or did you bring her into the project?
No, I wrote a first version, just me alone. So she helped me to write the other version of the script.
Okay. And how did that go? How long did it take from, let's say, your first version into the final, if you want to call it that way? I don't know if it ever becomes final, but yes.
It's very long. I did a lot of different things with other director who helped writing the script. But in the beginning, I think maybe it take 7 years.
7 years?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, so that was a long gestation period. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. And so then you went through the process, and then you went into production. You found producers. How did you find producers for this film?
First, I had a producer, but it didn't work. So I decided to work with a young producer, two young women I met in La Femis in my school too, and they began to produce movie, and this is a first feature.
Fantastic. So it's a new production house basically. And,
yes.
And how did that work out? Was it good to work with sort of fresh minds and?
Yeah, it was. I think it was important because a lot of people said to us that that our movie will be very complicated to produce because there is no casting, there is no big star, and there is just 4 teenagers, and it's in France it's complicated to produce, but I think in other country too. But in France it's complicated to produce a movie without big casting. So I think it's young producers, so they love the. We are going to do this film.
Okay. The guy who plays the dad, I think he's quite established though as an actor. Rebaud, what's his name?
Philippe Rebaud.
Philippe Rebaud, yes.
He begins to be famous, but the beginning is wonderful.
I saw him on screen and I recognized him. He was giving a class at the Clermont-Ferrand Festival when I was there 2 years ago. So I was like, I know him. So that was interesting. So then you found this producer, and you went along. And how is the film doing now? Where was it shown apart from the VFF? Is this the premiere, or has it been shown elsewhere?
It's a premiere in out of France.
Okay.
So it's very moving, and I'm glad to discover what foreign people think about the movie.
Fantastic. Okay. So tell us a bit about yourself then. Where did you start your career?
When I go out of the school.
So how? Where did you study? You mentioned this FEMIS, but can you explain the school? What is the FEMIS?
It is a public school based in Paris, and it's very difficult to enter because it's free.
So it's one of the top film schools in France. And
yes. Everybody wants to enter. And I work a lot for enter.
Okay. What did you have to do then to enter?
C'est un concours.
Yeah, the competition.
A competition, yes.
Like an exam. It's the same as Lois has to do, a concours.
Exactly.
So that there was some truth there about the difficulty of having this concours and the stress.
Yeah.
So, and what did you have to prepare to enter?
You have filmic analysis,
film analysis,
and a big one. You are maybe 1,000 people.
Okay, so you have to speak in front of a.
Yeah, no, just write.
Okay.
And 1,000 people who wrote on the movie on their little paper and watching the movie, and so it's very, very.
So you watch the movie and you have to write it there and then.
Yes.
Straight away.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
During 3 hours. So, and you have to write a dossier.
Yeah, a file. You have to compile a file.
And they give you 3 words, like white or death or something else.
Okay.
And you have to enquête.
Yeah, like a questionnaire. They ask you questions.
Yeah, you have to
research.
Research about what you want to tell about this word.
Okay.
And then is the first level. And then you have 2 other levels, and the last one is a big oral.
A what? An oral exam. Yeah. So they interview you.
Yeah.
Oh, that must be scary.
Yes, very, very.
Okay.
And when I was at La FEMIS, I met a director, a young director. His name is Leila Bouzid, and she's Tunisian. And when we met, and when we go out La FEMIS, we co-write her first feature, and his name is As I Open My Eyes, and it was shot in Tunisian, and it be released in maybe 4 years ago. And the movie went in a lot of festivals like Venice, Toronto.
That's fantastic. Wow.
Yes, it's fantastic. My first experience, so it was very beautiful.
co-wrote and
Yeah.
co-directed that?
No, just co-write.
Just co-wrote, and
Yeah.
she directed it?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. And she co-wrote and directing.
So is 5 kilos d'étoiles your first movie as a director?
Yes.
As a feature film?
Yes,
But
as
you
a
have
feature
directed other shorts?
3 shorts.
3 shorts. And tell us a bit about your shorts then. Did they tackle similar subjects, or was it completely different?
For the 2 of them, this is the same subject of Star by the Pond. For the first one is called Princess. This is it's tell childhood of the character when Louise decided to go to space.
Okay, so it's still about Louise.
Yes.
So this character has been living in your head for a very long time.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. Okay.
And the second movie is about a teenager who is fat too, but she begin an intern in a very, very strange entreprise.
Yeah, like a company.
So she discovers the adult world. This is not very easy.
Yeah. And the third one then?
And the third one is a story about I co-directing the third one. It's a story about mother and a daughter, and the mother is a majorette, and the daughter too, but she begins to discover other things to do, and she doesn't want to be a majorette anymore. So it's complicated to tell to her mom that she doesn't want to do that.
Okay. And my question, so you trained in screenwriting at this FEMIS, but then what made you turn into directing then?
It's because I have a lot of story in my head, and when you are a screenwriter in France, you in cinema, often you are an help for other director, but it's very difficult to give story to another director, because it's the French model. There is a you are director and co-writer.
Yeah, author.
So, yeah,
the author
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
And I want to
Be
tell
an author.
story. Yeah, and to tell my story. So. But I love co-writing and help other directors to write, so it's cool to do the both.
And is the film going in other places after the VFF?
Yes, it will be released in Brazil, in China, in Swiss, in other countries, in Canada, and about the festival, it will be screening in Australian and Korea,
Yeah, in Korea.
and Hamburg.
Yeah, in Hamburg in Germany.
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a lot to look forward to
Yes.
for the film. And how about, are you already thinking, or maybe you have stories in your head already for your next project?
Yes, always.
Always. Okay. But have you started working on them, or are they just ideas in your head?
Yeah, a starting work of them. Yeah.
On the writing of the
Yes,
stories?
yes, because it's very long, but I hope it will be not as long as the first.
But you are thinking of a feature film?
Yes.
Yes. Good. Okay. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Marie-Sophie. Is there anything you'd like to add, to tell the audiences here?
No, thank you to seeing that, and I'm glad to meet people who saw my movie. So.
Fantastic. So let's remind everyone who's here. It's going to screen today. It screened already in the last few days, but it will also screen today at 6:30, and that will be at Spazio Creatif. And the film is called Stars by the Pound. And here we had Marie-Sophie Chambon, who was the director and co-writer of this fantastic film. I truly recommend for anyone to go and watch it here, or if you come across it anywhere else, go and watch it. Fantastic. Thank you, Marie-Sophie.
Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, let's give her a round of applause. Merci, merci. And now we can go on to our second guest for the talent talks for tonight. But before that, we're going to have a short break. And then we'll go to another director of another film called Oleg. So see you in a bit.
Когда я услышал историю про Агнца, я заплакал. Я тогда понял, что я и есть тот самый ягненок.
Первый раз.
Да.
You will be able to work with me. Yes, my man.
So how are you?
Okay.
The steak?
Put your stuff here. It's your new room. I give you. It's my special place.
You should leave. Okay.
If you run away, I will find you.
I'm not criminal. I just got pigs, you buy them, you eat them, that's it. Бабуль, ну пока, не грусти, нормально будет все. Да есть работа, все хорошо у меня здесь.
Hello, and welcome back to the Talent Talks. Today, Thursday, the 20th of June. We're here at the Valletta Film Festival, and we are here at the Citylights, at the cinema bar. So thank you for hosting us, Cinema Bar. And we are here with the second director for today. So we had Marie-Sophie Chambon first, and now we have Juris Kursietis, who directed the feature film Oleg, and which is a film in competition, right? It's part of the Small Nations cinema competition, and it's up for Best Feature Award. Okay, so Juris, first of all, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. When did you arrive in Malta?
3 hours ago.
3 hours. Okay, so you just landed basically. And has the heat hit you?
No, actually, it's the same weather as in Riga now.
Okay.
So plus 30.
So
Comfortable.
you are from Latvia
Yes.
and you live in Riga.
Yep.
Yeah, fantastic. And how long will you stay here in Malta then for the VFF?
Until Saturday.
Okay, that's good. That's great. So you will have time to see a little bit of Valletta, maybe of Malta, hopefully.
Maybe a film or two.
Yes, there's a lot of fantastic films here at the VFF. So, Juris, your film is called Oleg, which is named after the main character of your film. Tell us a bit about the story of the film. So, a lot of people might not have seen your film, so let's tell the story without maybe saying the end, but yeah. What is it about?
Well, it's about Oleg, who's a deboner by profession. He works in a meat factory, and in search for, let's say, a better life or a better pay, he goes to Brussels to work there.
So he
But-
travels from Latvia to Brussels.
Yeah, it happens in the very beginning of the film, so
Yeah.
the travel is not important really. But it's about Oleg in Belgium searching for like, let's say, a better life, but with some incidents where he loses his job and then becomes entangled in this Polish mafia web. He finds himself in a way in this modern day slavery setting, which he has to try to escape.
And where did the story come from? What was the seed in your head for the story?
It was an article in a newspaper, and actually the backbone of the script was also this person's life story. So it's based on a real person's experience, and it basically the main points were like this. This guy, deboner, went to Belgium, worked there, lost a job, and got manipulated by these Polish criminals.
Fantastic. And how did you decide to take that story and then develop it into a film?
Well, I read this article when I was shooting my previous film, and I think it's the best time when you actually find a story for your next film, because you're kind of hypersensitive during filming, and I think it's a good time to actually find a subject. And I remember when I read this interview, this article, it for me there was so many things in there. It was this modern Europe of let's say one part using the other part. It was about these non-citizens in Latvia, which is a group in Latvia, which is a heritage of the Soviet times.
Yeah, we can explain that a bit as well.
And it was basically, when I read it, I thought, well, this is a subject that really has to be talked about, and it has a very serious argument to be made into a film. For me, there always has to be a good reason to make film.
Of course.
And so I thought that there's many important subjects in this story.
Okay. And how did it go from an idea into a script? How was the process there?
Well, it's very hard and
Of-
lonely because
you wrote it by yourself.
Well, no, I have two co-writers because seriously, I started working it in 2015 with this journalist that wrote this article.
So you contacted the journalist, and after
yeah,
reading
I mean,
it,
I knew him.
Okay, you knew him.
And then he gave me all this interview transcript, which was also left outside from this news article, and based on that, together with him, we kind of developed the first draft. Then I continued alone, but then also my wife, who's a musician by profession, but we were always discussing these ideas, and also she participated in writing maybe some scenes, and so she became a co-author also. So it's basically three of us who were developing this, and we shot this in January 2018.
So in the cold, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So which locations did you use? Because the film is based in different places. I think the first part is...
No, it's all based in Belgium. All what is happening in Belgium. I mean, there is this parallel kind of outside
the first,
reality
yes,
story,
exactly.
which is in the cold winter,
exactly.
frozen lake.
Was that filmed in Belgium as well? That
no,
bit?
no, that's filmed in Latvia.
That's Latvia. Okay.
But actually, several things were filmed in Latvia. Interiors, let's say, because in Belgium it's 3 times more expensive to shoot, so than compared to Latvia. So we cheated some interiors for Belgium, but no one notices it.
Okay. And this was a co-production then, and with...
It was a co-production between Latvia, Lithuania, Belgium, and France. My main actor comes from Lithuania, so that was a natural co-production. Belgium, obviously, because the story is based in Belgium, and we needed to shoot there definitely. And France came in with the CNC funding for post-production, so that helped us to kind of finalize the film.
Fantastic. So the story was, you conceived it, it was from the start, the guy going to Brussels in this multicultural, multilingual environment. And there are a lot of language, I mean, so 4 countries co-producing, and there's also a lot of language. I read that there were at least 6 languages, and you can hear them, and you do start counting. And if you don't speak these languages and you're just reading the English subtitles, you're wondering which language is which is the Polish, which is the Latvian, which is the other. So it was very interesting to try and listen as well, and how they're communicating between them. And the fact that they use English to communicate, sometimes French as well, you see in the film. How was that? Was that a choice, the linguistic mixture, sort of?
Yeah, of course. That was also one of the reasons why I really wanted to show this setting, because when people from all these parts, from North Europe, from East Europe, from Western Europe, when they meet in Belgium, it's like this Tower of Babel, and you hear so many languages around.
That's true. I live there, and I can tell you, it's
exactly. So it was very interesting for me, and it was also interesting for the actors to do this, because I mean, me personally, I speak. Well, there's Latvian, English. Obviously, I speak good. Russian, I speak partially, and the rest of the languages I didn't speak. So I understood only half of the languages. And Polish language, which is also a lot in the film.
Yeah,
I don't understand at all. So I really it was interesting for me to see how the situations are translating on the camera, because for me, sometimes I didn't understand verbally, but had to understand it, let's say, visually.
Okay.
So it was like a great challenge for us to use the film language to tell the story, and not maybe so much words.
It's true. I did understand a lot of it, like physically.
I mean, I hope that you can watch this film without subtitles and still understand, let's say, what is happening. I mean, that is my wish that
okay.
hopefully is there.
I think it does transmit, yes, because the physical language is very strong, and so I think that would work. But I did watch it with subtitles, but I was fascinated by all the languages. And how was the journey then? So you wrote it and you went into production. How long did you film then in the different locations?
Altogether, I think we had something like 25, 27 shooting days. We spent January filming in Latvia, and then March was in Belgium, and it was quite rapid. I mean, it's basically the way I work with actors that we don't rehearse on the set. I mean, every take is shot in one shot. Let's say there's no shot reversed. The camera is very active and following. So basically, and every take is a bit different. So the camera has to really kind of be, very
alert.
Alert.
Yeah.
To be ready. Because I also sometimes just before the take I say something to an actor, and he totally changes something.
Fantastic.
And it's basically to make the process more interesting. You know, otherwise
for everybody, I think, for the actor, also
exactly,
for yourself,
and also the cameraman.
And the camera, and even for the editing, for the editor, because then the editor will have a lot of takes and a lot of ways to build the story as well, like a puzzle.
Yeah. So this kind of filming also makes the filming process quite fast. Let's say. I mean, so it was enough.
So why did you take that decision then to make it more exciting, or was it like also a sort of technical decision to have this?
It's how I work basically. I mean, my previous films I worked the same. Because I ask for my actors to improvise a lot. We have like improvisation sessions, let's say a couple months before the shooting, where we try out different things, and they really have to study their character's background. They have to find their stories, and where I help them also. But I mean, it's basically to make it totally believable and realistic, and that there is no lying, let's say, on the screen. So
that's important. I'm an actress as well, so I can see how you have to be completely authentic on screen. And how did you cast these actors then? A lot of them are fantastic. So how did you find these actors?
Yeah, actors are a real treasure, let's say, to this film. I mean, Valentin Novopolsky, who's from Lithuania.
So he plays the main character of Oleg?
Oleg, yeah. I cast him quite early. I think it was summer 2016. And because I mean, my character's first language had to be Russian, but in Latvia there were maybe 5-6 actors who had that capability. But
because you were saying earlier as well that there is a Russian-speaking community, right? And that's where the main character comes from.
Yes. Because from the Soviet heritage times, basically, they were building factories in Latvia, and they brought a lot of, let's say, from Russia and other Soviet states, they brought in workers, and once the Soviet Union collapsed, those workers stayed, and so we have this community which is basically a bit alienated. But I mean, we can talk long and deep about this.
Yes, we can come back to it, because the film deals a lot about identity, but we'll come back to that. So let's keep on casting.
So basically, I mean, we were casting the Baltic states, Russia, Ukraine, Belarus. We were sending out scenes, and actors were sending in kind of YouTube links where they have filmed their scenes. I was even joking that we could make a film together from these scenes.
Yes.
We just send like a different scene to each one, because sometimes from Russia they were coming with such high production value that they had like really found like locations which like look similar to what is
like
described
in a butcher
the
shop.
scene.
And
Exactly. So, but when I saw Valentin's scene, he already got my attention straight away, and then
so he sent you a video as well.
Yeah, and then we invited him to Riga, and basically I already had chosen when he came to Riga, and we were just talking about life, about movies, what he liked, and so on. So he somehow naturally just fell in this part. And
fantastic. You can see that he's really living the part, like you were saying, like
he is.
He wasn't lying on screen.
And the Polish actors, I mean, they're the best in Poland. I mean, Dawid Ogrodnik, who plays Andrzej, he's now like the big star in Poland. He played in Ida and The Last Family and many other great films lately. Anna Prokniak was in the Les Innocents, the French film, and so for me it was basically, I was looking at Poland, and I looked at films. They're good films, and I noticed the actors. And when I was writing the script, sometimes I had these actors in my head. Some I didn't, but it.
And did you contact casting directors in Poland and in the different countries as well, or for the Belgian actors as well?
In Belgium, yes, but in Poland I already said, okay, I want to try these out.
And you called them, and they just sent you videos again?
No, I met them in Warsaw. I went to Warsaw, and that's where I met them. And again, I mean, it was just communicating, talking about the ideas, how we make films, and it somehow happened.
Yeah, fantastic. And the other actors as well. So the rest of the cast was, very mixed and cast them in these different ways.
Yeah.
So going back to the story, then we were talking about it's a lot about identity and belonging to a place or not belonging. So the main character, Oleg, is a non-citizen. So basically he doesn't exist anywhere, right? As in he doesn't have an official, he has a passport, but what was that story? So he had some papers, but were not...
No, it's a thing that large part of the Europe doesn't know, I think. I mean, there's only a few countries in Europe that have this. Latvia is one of them, maybe also Estonia, but I'm not sure, because Estonia also has a big Russian community. Basically, it's all these people that stayed in the countries when the Soviet Union collapsed, but they didn't go through this process of getting citizenship. Basically, you had to learn the language and do some history test, and you got the citizenship. But they didn't do that, so we have this big political problem now. I think there was a mistake in the early 90s that they were considered partly as, you know, some foreign. They were demonized in a way, and the nationalists really used it.
Okay.
And there was a big mistake in my mind. And later on, it was always in every election. It was said, you know, if you're not going to vote for the nationalists, then this is gonna, the Russians will come, and you know, hell will break out, and so on. You know, so it's been manipulated. I mean,
and that's something you wanted to talk about specifically.
Yeah, I mean, it's important for a country to talk about, because somehow we have to solve this thing. Otherwise, it's gonna turn against us. It's already turned against us time to time, you know. So even, you know, when Crimea was happening, you know, there was a real uncomfortable feeling that, okay, we have also this part, large part of Russian-speaking, you know, minorities. So isn't this, you know, dictator who's sitting in the Kremlin, is he also going to do something? But it's actually a bit our fault also. So it's a subject that we have to start talking about. We're somehow avoiding the subject, and actually the film will come out in Latvia in October, and I hope it will stir up some emotions, you know, because that's my aim also. And
has it been screened in other places apart from at the VFF?
Yes, it premiered in May in Cannes in Director's Fortnight.
Fantastic.
And it's traveling now.
Traveling to a few festivals as well?
Yes. I mean, it's showing this week also somewhere, and I think next week it's in Karlovy Vary. And
fantastic, another very good festival.
Yes, and it's doing good. I mean, we have good sales, so they're really working with the film. So it's. I mean, you know, it's the mission of a filmmaker is to bring this film, a film, to an audience. Yeah. So the
of
bigger
course,
the audience,
the more people see it, the better.
Exactly.
Now let's talk a little bit about your career. Tell us where did you start your filmmaking career?
I don't know.
You don't. So you had a love for film, obviously, for a very long time.
Yeah.
You've always watched films?
I mean, when I was 3 or 4, I mean, my mother discovered that I need glasses, and I was throwing these glasses away all the time. So she brought me to the cinema. There, I was putting my glasses on because I had to see the big screen. I mean,
to force you to put your glasses on.
Exactly. So I mean, I've been going to movies, you know, all my childhood, and it was like a ritual for us. And then when I was thinking about what to do in my life, then I kind of went along, and I just went to do a general course in, let's say, audiovisual stuff, where I understood maybe which part interests me, and then I did an MA in film directing in the UK, and after that I was making films in Latvia.
Fantastic. Was that a smooth transition from your studies to? Did you start making short films, or did you go into feature films straight away?
I didn't really go into this short film format because it was very hard for me to have this 10-minute, 15-minute format in a way. My graduation film was 42 minutes, so it wasn't the short, it wasn't the
medium length.
It was
in between.
In between, and it didn't go anywhere. But I think it's still a pretty good film. So, but I kind of went straight into feature
feature
films
length.
and
Which is it's not very unusual. Usually directors do tend to start with short films to prove themselves, to experiment perhaps, and to maybe find ways of, sometimes the story of their first feature film would have been developed in the short film, so maybe your path was a little bit different in that sense.
maybe.
Yeah, but yeah, if that's what you wanted to do, you were very lucky to be given the opportunity. Did you find funding straight away for your first feature film?
Yeah, first feature film was actually easier than Oleg. And
What was it called? And tell us a bit about that.
It was called Modris. It was a coming of age story, and it was basically, again, a kind of a social realist political bit drama where this teenager is sentenced to jail basically for stealing a heater from his mother. Basically, a family conflict goes out of control, not because the mother wants to kind of re-educate him. And it did good. It premiered in Toronto. It went on to San Sebastian also, and had a healthy festival run. And that film kind of came fast, because I remember I started writing the script. It was 2011, and the film premiered in 2014. So it was only 3 years. Oleg came slower, but financing-wise slower, because there was a lot of, let's say, skepticism about this story, how it's depicting sometimes, and also the production capacity that a country like Latvia, which has like usually small production capacities, can it handle such a story which is happening in Europe, and there's a lot of shooting in Belgium and so on. So it wasn't easy.
But in the end you managed, and you got a lot of co-producers as well, so...
Yeah. Basically you need a good script, and if you have a good script, then you can actually back your ideas, and you can, interest the other people around you, then I think things come out later on.
Okay, and how about the future then? What is in your future at the moment?
I hope it's films.
Yes, for sure.
But
are you thinking already about your next feature film?
Yes. I'm developing already a script. We have like first financing in place, and I hope to have like a good draft by end of this year. So again, this story came while I was shooting Oleg.
That's how it works. So you definitely need to keep shooting, to keep writing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the first idea is born when you're shooting something, and then you're writing, and then yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so that was very interesting. Is there anything else you would like to add, Juris? What would you like to say to anyone here watching, people watching there?
Well, go and see the film.
Go and see the film. So let's tell them. It's on tomorrow at 5 p.m. at the Valletta Campus Theatre. So this is part of the Valletta Film Festival. And will you be there tomorrow?
Yes.
Yes. So you will be there. And can anyone watch? Pose you some questions? Will you be there?
Yeah, there's a Q&A.
There is a Q&A. There is a Q&A after the screening tomorrow, 5 p.m. at Valletta Campus Theatre. And the film is called Oleg by Juris Kursietis. Thank you so much. This was very interesting. Wish you all the luck for Oleg, but also your future films, your future projects, whatever they may be. So thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching. And another talent talk is on tomorrow, same time at 5:30 here at the cinema bar of the Citylights as part of the VFF. Check the schedule on www.vallettafilmfestival.com for all the fantastic films. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mikhail Basmajan, and I'm a television, film and theatre actor. Now, I also played the part of a police officer, a Maltese police officer, in a short film called Sheep, where my job was to guard the sheep. Now, that was about 2 years ago, and it first premiered here at the Valletta Film Festival. Now, the Valletta Film Festival is 5 years old. and it is the cinema event that should not be missed. Spans over 10 days, over 100 films, open-air cinema, something you have to come to. Now, when you look at the program of the Valletta Film Festival, you can actually get confused. I mean, it is a great selection, but where do you start? That's why I'm here today. My job is to help you decide. Winners of various festivals, such as the Golden Bear Award at the Berlinale. Other films straight from Cannes. And we will be having the long-awaited full-feature documentary film Maradona. And this is based on 500 hours of yet unseen footage from Maradona's personal archives. Imagine that. A total of 12 feature and documentary, as well as 24 short films, will compete as part of the Cinema of Small Nations competition, eligible only to films from 34 small nations in Europe, Middle East and North Africa. All the feature films shown in the Cinema of Small Nations competition will be shown at the Valletta Campus Theatre. Of the festival, we also have a section called Islanders, and we have films like Capri Revolution, Twin Flower, a Maltese production called Bahar Zmin of Time and Sea by Peter Sant, starring Ruth Borch and Narsi Kalamata. And as part of the Islanders section, we also have a film called Islander. So we are at the Phoenicia Hotel, which is just outside Valletta, and actually this is the place where a lot of actors, directors and producers participating in the festival will be staying. One such director is the famed Hungarian director Béla Tarr, who will be giving a masterclass here on his work as auteur. Another famous director who will be giving a masterclass in directing is Liliana Cavani. This masterclass will be at the Valletta Campus Theatre. And we're going to have some free screenings here for you with some classic films such as Four Weddings and a Funeral, Easy Rider, Bagora, which was filmed in Malta, and also the animated classic Coralie. 14th to the 23rd of June, Valletta Film Festival. It's an event not to be missed. See you there.